Welcome to Horsepower, Chrome, and Rust, covering car culture and the automotive world with Shane Osborne, Brady Wright, and Steve, the producer, Johan. Let's see what's up this week.
Hey, it is Tuesday, January 28th, 2020.
What was that?
It's 28th. Brady Wright, Shane Osborne, Steve, the producer, Johan. Millions of listeners sitting breathlessly waiting for whatever sounds trip off of our tongues tonight. This is the 122nd show in our long and storied history. Yes, friends, this is Horsepower, Chrome, and Rust. You can find us on iTunes. Make sure that you go to find us on iHeartRadio, because that, I'm telling you, is the place where you can vote for your favorite podcast. And, of course, you will vote for this one, because we would be really grateful if you did. We're also on Spotify and Podomatic.com. Thanks for liking and following our Facebook page, by the way. We're getting more and more likes every day, and that's really cool. All the latest shows are there. And, of course, if you go to our website, you can get the archives, which will let you find the only 2 shows where I personally made a mistake. You'll have to listen to all of them, of course, to find them, and I wish you well. By the way, our newest sponsor is Witch Doctor Restoration. Thank you so much for joining us. Let your project be a Witch Doctor project. Big job, small job, dream job. Call 425-626-4135. Our first segment, as usual, is Back to the Blacktop. And that is where Steve Johan, the other half of tonight's show,
yes,
has collated a veritable plethora of automotive news and information as usual. What do you got tonight, my friend?
Well, it starts out with Cadillac plans to expand the use of its hands-free Super Cruise system.
Super Cruise, yeah. Oh, all right. So what are they going to do?
Among other things, adding it to their CT4, CT5 sedans, and redesigned Escalade.
So more cars. Okay.
While adding the ability to automatically change lanes simply by tapping the turn signal.
If you're going to tap the turn signal, why don't you just turn the wheel? You're kind of there.
I was thinking the same thing, but is there some people who may not be able to just tap the signal? And I thought the idea of tapping the signal was to let everybody know you're going to turn, then you're making sure that you can't turn.
Maybe when you tap the turn signal, it puts the turn signal on, waits a judicious time period, and then makes the lane change. I don't know. Good for them.
Maybe has sensor systems in there to say that there is a semi to the right. Do not go into that lane.
Could be. I think it's cool that they are trying this stuff. I think this technology has a future. It interests me the things that they are choosing to introduce, like, in what order. You're going with lane change as opposed to emergency stopping and stuff like. Okay, all right. It's all good.
Well, it's a stepped process of bringing it in gently and testing it and making sure that nothing happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to make a joke. I am not waiting for the first failure of this system.
No.
Because it's not going to be good. And I really hope that this never occurs. But, sooner or later, everything that's designed by people eventually fails. And I just don't want this one to go sideways really badly.
Well, let's face it, Brady. Human error is the cause of every accident on the road now. Oh, my gosh.
It's easy to say.
It is.
And it's, there's a lot of evidence. a lot of evidence there.
As a good friend used to say, every motorcycle accident could have been avoided if you had only been in charge of what was going on.
Yeah.
So Ford Motor Company has agreed to settle a class action lawsuit with almost 2 million owners and former owners of a Focus and Fiesta models equipped with the now infamous 6-speed dual-clutch power-shift transmission, internally referenced as the DSP-6. That's not a robot from Star Wars. It's actually a transmission. The unit was known problem prior to installation.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Yeah.
Last year's scathing report in the Detroit Free Press showed its dark history in all its glorious detail.
I've heard a couple of people who had problems with that particular unit, and it's good that they're doing it.
Yeah.
And, of course, over time, sometimes, you design something the best you can, and you don't really know that you made a mistake until down the line a ways. It takes a while for it to shake out. And I always feel bad because, the engineers don't purposely design anything to fail. And yet, when it does, they're the first guys to get blamed, and it's,
Well, it says complaints of vehicles shuttering and stalling, bizarre delays between gear changes, even full-blown failures to go into gear began streaming in. leaving Ford to pick up the pieces and attempt to downplay the failure as much as possible. Unfortunately, more engineers came forward to bash the transmission over its development implementation. With this in mind, Ford agreed to settle out and pay out $100 million to everybody to get things fixed and taken care of. Now, if you think that is big news, think again. We have at least 100 Boeing MAX airplanes sitting around the United States and beyond, because they knew they had faulty stuff, and they pushed it through. And they are now losing money. They're idling.
They're hemorrhaging money.
The fact is, every day that they can't sell those, ship them, they get fined because that's in the contract, and they're not making that money. And the fact is, folks, you knew the hell it was wrong in the first place, and you did it anyways, and people died. So pay the price.
Yeah, well, and they are.
They should.
They are definitely.
I am a little tired of companies knowing full well that you know there's problems that could cause a crash, and they push it out anyway. So anyway, General Motors will invest $2.2 billion in the good side here in its 35-year-old Detroit Hamtramck assembly plant, transforming an aged factory that has been set.
Michigan or New Jersey?
I think it's in. It says Detroit, so it's got to be Michigan.
It's Michigan,
Hamtramck.
Hamtramck.
Is that like a? I wonder what nationality. I mean, I wonder what the background of that name is.
I don't know, but it's
interesting.
It's the name of the city, obviously.
Right. So, anyways, they're going to.
Fun to find out,
it's been closed for a long time, and now they're going to revive it, and they're going to put it in as their electric power, EV, and everything's going to go in there. So good for them. Their Origin's going to be pulling out. They're going to actually the plant will build the new electric pickup. And the Origin will, with more to follow. So they got an electric pickup they're working on. So that'll be interesting. Maybe compete against Rivian. And I think Tesla's got one too. So now the White House is revealing itself on federal fuel economy standards, or I should say reversing. Did I say revealing, Brady? Reversing itself, as in putting it in reverse, on a federal fuel economy standards. A draft resolution now calling for mileage to rise to 1.5% annually through 2029 after originally scheduled to freeze at 2020 levels. The move comes as it found lukewarm support for its plans to freeze the standards. I mean, if you think about it, most manufacturers are pretty much adept at doing this. This is kind of in their works. They've invested a lot of money, and a lot of states have too. And the fact is, when you say, pull back those mileage, no. And I think they don't want to have to build a lot of electric cars that, quite frankly, aren't going to sell.
So here, by the way, a mild aside.
Yes.
I just Googled Hamtramck to figure out where it came from. It is a word of Polish origin, and it was actually incorporated as a township to extend the boundaries of Detroit in 1889. It's not actually Detroit, but it's right next to it.
Very cool.
There you go.
Very cool.
Thank you, Dr. Google.
Yes, very, very, very cool. Borg Warner president and CEO Frederick Lisdale will lead the combined company. I goofed on that one. Basically,
what did you do?
Borg Warner's buying out a competitor who's in the electronics side of things. And here we go. Under the heading, folks, sometimes I can't read my own writing. Some companies are never satisfied with what they already have. Comes the following. Auto parts supplier Borg Warner is acquiring Delphi Technologies parts supplier in an all-stock deal valued at approximately $3.3 billion, partly to help strengthen its power electronic products and partly because they just want to keep gobbling up competition. So anyway, it will all go under the Borg Warner's headquarters. Probably means a few people will lose a job in the
they always
translation. Do. So that is the big news. It was kind of a slow week this week as far as any big headlines, but the fact is I squeezed a few out there. And
automotive-wise, for those people who are interested, my YouTube feed is blowing up with clips from Ford versus Ferrari, and I never saw it wasn't in the theaters, but I'm getting it now.
We're going to go,
we're
going to watch it.
Monsters and Manson coming up on Horsepower, Chrome, and Rust.
Power, Chrome and Rust.
My mind's out of gear, and my heart's in overdrive. I've everything to fear. I ain't never been more alive.
Horsepower, Chrome, and Rust is back with the first half of the Windshield View, and this week we're talking with the big kahuna of the Monsters and Manson, Rat Rod Extravaganza, and Grill, Jeff Conwell. Hey, Jeff, good to have you back on the show.
Hey, great to be back on the show.
Big kahuna, you like that?
Yeah. The big kahuna.
And Grill.
I have to tell you, there's really a cast of characters that make this all happen out here in Manson. So,
well, yeah,
good to be with you guys. You
are actually, speaking of cast of characters, not that you're not a character all your own, but that's a whole other story. In fact, that may be a whole other show. You're kind of got a bunch of hats over there as it is. I mean, in addition to being the guy who sort of formulated and originated the Monsters and Manson show, you're also a big player in the Chamber of Commerce, and you're also a big player at KOZI Radio over there. You're the news director, the program director, the chief cook and bottle washer, the all-night disc jockey, the production director. Yeah. Don't you write all the copy and sweep the floors too?
Pretty much.
What?
Exactly. You're on to me. No, it's pretty busy over here. Here it is, a little town, Manson. We're right here on the beautiful shores of Lake Chelan, but
and what a beautiful place
we are
too.
A town. We're not a city, and so it takes a whole town of us to put together programs like our Monsters and Manson. And by the way, you give me a lot of credit for that, but Brady Wright was pretty responsible for helping me formulate some of this too. So,
I don't know. Here's that story. That this is, I think it's 5 years ago now.
5 years ago.
Gosh,
maybe 6.
I can't believe it. I had been doing the Edmonds Classic Car Show and producing that thing for the Edmonds Chamber of Commerce on the west side of the state, and Jeff and I, full disclosure, we've known each other for 186,000 years.
True.
And we, in fact, I think we both knew each other before we started to shave or something like that. Anyway,
yeah.
Jeff had an idea, saying, maybe we should do a show like that. So what do you know about it? Can you give me some ideas? And I just, sure, I'll tell you whatever I know, which is next to nothing. And you fully took the ball and ran with it, and you put on a really terrific show. That first year was a winner, and I just felt like I needed to go over there and support you. And it's one of my favorite events all year long. So, thanks for saying nice things about me, but, man, you did that stuff.
Well, thank you. One of the biggest things that we hear from the folks who come over for the show is they say, you got to keep doing the show. This is the show we look forward to. And that makes us feel good. We get all the stores and the bars and the restaurants and the wineries all ready to go so that when all of our visitors get here for the Monsters and Manson Rat Rod show in May, everybody's ready to go. We want to take good care of our guests, and I think it shows. I think it comes through when everybody gets here. And, of course, being here in eastern Washington, or I should say north central Washington, we do enjoy 300 days of sunshine a year, I might add.
There's your Chamber of Commerce piece right there.
Yeah. He says that when we came over there in February, a couple of years ago, it was a little bit of snow, and we stayed.
You're going to bring up the 1 year we said terrible.
Yes, we stayed at a timeshare over there on the I think it was the east side of the lake, and sure enough, there was a little snow coming down, not much, just wisps, and as a family, we decided, let's go swimming. So we swam in the pool, and then we sat in the jacuzzi. So, only us crazy Washingtonians. And then just recently, we went up to the Bellingham up at Birch Bay. There's another timeshare, and it was raining and cold and windy, and we were swimming in the pool. And
I think that speaks more about you than it does about the weather.
But they left it open, and people were using it, and we were walking back with our flip flops on, and.
Well, Jeff,
it was great. So
Jeff does make the point. I mean, you do have more than 300, about average 300 days of sunshine a year over there, and that doesn't mean it's always 90 degrees. But I literally can count on the thumbs of two hands the times that I've been over there when the weather hasn't been just gorgeous.
Yeah, here's the funny thing about it. It's kind of like when you go to Hawaii and they have a cloud squall come in, you get a little bit of weather, and then it moves out.
Yeah.
You know, so weather doesn't typically part here, and that's the good news. And you know, that's one of the reasons we're able to put our show on in May, is because we're typically in pretty good shape for nice weather. I think, I don't know, Brady, the times that you guys have been over here with your club, I think we've been around 70 degrees.
Oh yeah.
You know,
oh
not
yeah.
too hot, not too cool. It's just
No,
it's a great
t-shirt
day for a car show.
Yeah, t-shirt weather, absolutely. And speaking of the clubs, you know, more every year. Since the beginning of this show, more and more clubs and groups, and of course a lot of individuals, but more and more clubs are starting to show up. And I get, you know, we're fortunate enough doing the show here that we talk to a lot of the different clubs. I mean, the guys from Spokane, the guys from Tri-Cities, and the guys from Seattle and Tacoma, and you know, this side of the state. And you know, every year they come back going, "That was really a cool show. We got to go next year and bring more guys."
Nice.
And yeah,
nice.
it's really well done. And for those people who aren't familiar with Washington State, first off, please come. And second, the Manson area, the Chelan, Lake Chelan, is a huge. How many is it? 600 miles long. What is? It's a gigantic lake.
Yeah. Well, not quite. It's 55 miles long and 1,500 feet deep. It's actually, I believe, it's the second and maybe the third deepest body of water and largest body of water, you know, in the United States.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about Lake Chelan is it is actually Washington State's #1 vacation destination.
Oh yeah.
And it really is like the Lake Tahoe of Washington.
That's a really good analogy too, because
you know,
there's a lot of resort areas over there, and you got I don't know how many wineries there are, but the whole area is wine country. And you know, in addition to just, you know, the scenery, which is gorgeous, you're about an hour in any direction from let's see, wine country. There's ghost towns. There's
Wenatchee is
alpine
not that far.
skiing. There's, you know, apple country. I mean, it's you got a whole variety of things you can do. You know, off-roading and stuff, plus water sports. I mean, there's all kinds of things that go along the lake. Plus, there's a really cool ferry that goes from one end of the lake almost all the way up to the other end. And
no, all the way to the other.
Well,
yeah, for sure.
Stehekin
Right.
is
It goes from
Stehekin at the farthest north end?
Stehekin is the town farthest north of the lake. It's right at the very end. In fact, as a crow flies, you know, it's right at the base of the Cascades. Right on the other side of Stehekin, at the end of Lake Chelan, is the town of Darrington. So it's it's crazy. You can hike over the hill to Darrington.
Well, you could.
Yeah, not going to do it, but you could.
Now, you're literally in the base of the North Cascades Highway at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, it really is upper desert. It's just beautiful country. And as you mentioned, wine country, you know, I think we're somewhere around 40 wineries here in the valley. If you come to the Manson Rat Rod show, the Monsters in Manson, coming up May 15th and 16th, if you come to that show, you can literally walk the streets of Manson from your rat rod and hit about 14 or 15 of the tasting rooms right in the general downtown area.
Yeah.
So it's really a heck of a lot of fun. And, you know, one other thing I want to mention, since we're talking about wine, the same weekend that we're hosting the Manson Rat Rod show, it's also the Lake Chelan Valley Wine and Jazz Festival. And this is a 4-day, so I'm just giving you this advance notice because you can make really a 4-day getaway where you could come over here. The shows start on Thursday and run through Sunday. And I'm talking some big name acts. I don't have the full list in front of me, but they're staging them all over the Lake Chelan Valley here. So you can come over, make it a little getaway, grab yourself a room for a few days, check out some of the shows. And here's the cool thing. They host most of these shows at the various wineries, and they have a shuttle bus that goes around to all the wineries, so you don't have to worry about driving and getting to and from. And they've got like a general parking area, and they just shuttle you around. So it's a pretty good time.
Nice. Well, do this for me. Send me a link to the Jazz Festival stuff, and we'll put it on the thing along with the rest of it. Listen, I want to talk more about that. I want to talk more about the show itself, of course, and to tell you where I've reserved my hotel room so we can get together when I come over there. But we got to take a break. So,
is there going to be? Yeah, we'll have to ask if there's where to find out all the booking and things like that.
No
and
worries.
So, Jeff, I want to talk to you about the winery a little more because my wife would love it. So hang with us. Windshield View will be right back with more about Monsters and Manson on Horsepower, Chrome, and Rust.
And we are back with the second half of the Windshield View on Horsepower, Chrome, and Rust. Jeff Conwell from the charming city of Manson, Washington, is with us again for the second half. Jeff, of course, is the driver behind the Monsters in Manson Rat Rod show in May here in north central Washington. And I tell you, every year it has been getting to be a bigger and bigger show. And just before the break, we were talking about sort of a companion event that's going on with it. It is a wine and jazz festival. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, the Wine and Jazz Festival was started by Siren Song Winery, and Kevin and Holly Brown. They brought the passion. They're from the west side, but they came over here. They built a fabulous winery over on the south shore of Lake Chelan. A very beautiful winery, and they brought their jazz passion with them. They sold it to the valley. We all said, hey, you know what? There's no reason, rather, that we can't become like the Monterey Jazz Festival. Let's put something together here that makes people go, yeah, this is popping, this is hopping. And so they've done that. And I think last year's event brought just under 1,000 folks from all over the Northwest to come out and enjoy the shows. And so it was really a great success, and it too continues to grow. So again, if you're coming to the Manson Rat Rod show, there's going to be pressure for some hotels, so you're going to want to book early. Good news is we have a brand new hotel. I'm going to get you that information. A brand new hotel coming in here in Manson as well. I believe it's a new hotel of 40 rooms.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So that's going to help. Yeah, that'll help take some pressure off and give some folks some additional options when they come over as well.
Well, speaking of booking a hotel, I'll give you this one real quick. I've already got my rooms, of course, because I book ahead, and because I bring my dogs with me. There's a limited number of places that have pet friendly rooms, although not that limited. I mean, there's actually a pretty good selection, but. I was looking at the calendars on a couple of those places, and it's starting to get a little bit, light. So if you're thinking at all, like, gee, let's see, a Rat Rod show would be kind of cool. See all those cars, maybe do a cruise in, maybe bring some of the friends, and while we're at it, catch a couple of tunes, lay back in the winery, do some tasting. This is not something you do in one day. Come over on Friday or Thursday, stay a couple of days, see the show on Saturday. The Monster show is on Saturday. But you still got, stay Saturday night, you got a nice relaxing Sunday. You can make the trip back, and whether you're coming in from the east side of the state or the south, Tri-Cities area, west side, it's not that long of a drive. And besides, it's a beautiful drive no matter what road you take. But if that's a consideration, my best advice, and I'm pretty sure Jeff will echo this, is book now.
Yeah, book now. Great advice for sure. Because there are limited accommodations. This place gets busy really fast. And when we first started the Rat Rod show out here, we thought, hey, let's do this at a time of year when it's just not too busy yet. Well, guess what? The wineries have really helped make things go a little nutty a little earlier here. And it used to be that we only had about 5 months of really solid business. Well, now we're at about 9 months, and there's really only about 90 days of downtime, and then things just really crack here. So
doesn't surprise
me. Jeff, I was wondering. There's a couple things. First of all, the fact for most those who do not live in this area, there is probably a lot of people who own. Well, I know people personally who own condos, who own cabins, who own lots, and some of them go over on the weekend almost year-round. And during the winter, they won't, because there's about 3 months. It's not easy to get through the pass. But other than that, they're over there on the weekends whenever they can. There are people that have they park their campers or trailers or RVs, and they leave them, and then they'll go back to work over here and just go back over. It's an amazing thing. But what I wanted to ask is part of the it's just a beautiful little town. You can spend all day there. But is there any kind of cruise or any kind of where people can, let's say, okay, I've enjoyed this, but I want to head north on the lake. I want to drive 25, 30 miles up the lake and see the view. Is that something that a lot of people end up doing maybe on that day or the day after before they head back?
Yeah, there's a couple of there's so many fun things to do. It's where do you start? You can do anything from taking the Lady of the Lake from one end of the lake all the way to the other. When you get to Stehekin, there's an incredible little bakery that's world famous for their cinnamon rolls. You could take a helicopter tour and even have them take you up to Stehekin. So, and in terms of driving, out here in Manson, what's really cool is most of the roads out here, there's actually 4 lakes here in Manson proper, and you can go out and drive around all of these different little lakes that are just covered, surrounded rather by orchards and vineyards and little wineries, boutique wineries dotting the landscape throughout the drive. And then if you want to take in some views, for example, you go up to Four Lakes Winery. They sit up on top of this knob, and you can actually see all 4 lakes.
Oh, wow.
This particular winery.
My wife would love to do that.
Yeah, it's very spectacular. Many of the wineries are situated in a way that they overlook Lake Chelan, and honestly, you would go, "Am I in Italy? This is ridiculous."
It's true. It's a gorgeous.
Yeah,
part of the
vibe. Yeah, the vibe and the look that you get is just absolutely incredible. So lots of terrific drives for you to take out here in the Lake Chelan Valley and beyond. Like Brady mentioned, if you wanted to just roll up 97 a little ways, you could hit the western town of Winthrop. So many fun things to do there.
Yeah.
And, here's one of the things I think you all did last year, Brady. Didn't you and your car club head out to Blueberry Hills?
We did. Yeah, we went. Yeah. As a matter of fact, there's still pictures on the net of about 30 rat rods in the parking lot up there just before they opened up. We went up. It's a great little place up on top of the hill above Manson. That is literally they grow their own blueberries. I mean, it's a restaurant, a breakfast spot that's just gorgeous. And we went up there for breakfast and pretty much filled the place up.
Cool.
Well, hey, Blueberry Hills, for those in Western Washington in particular, they've been voted a viewer's choice on King 5.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how many years in a row. Yep. They were the only restaurant east of the Cascades worth the drive.
Oh, yeah.
So, definitely. If you're looking for a drive, come on over to Blueberry Hills.
We go there. We go there every year, no doubt.
Now you never know that Jeff was plugging the town. You'd think he works for the chamber or something, or as part of chamber. I mean, this guy knows his stuff.
Well, just between all of us, Jeff has done this before.
Yes, he has.
Hey, and good news is my term as president of the chamber just actually officially ended. We have a terrific new president. I've remained on the board, but we have a lot of great fun things to do out here in Manson, including our Rat Rod show. And again, the dates on that, if I can plug that.
Please do.
May 15th and 16th. But by all means, make the reservations now so you can come out and be part of the fun. I should just mention, if I could, Brady and Steve, the proceeds for this we use for a scholarship program at our high school here in Manson for students who are looking to get into the automotive repair industry. The trades are just so underrepresented these days in the workforce. They need people, and so we want to make sure we support kids who are looking to do something that is just not going to a 4-year institution, but actually, a lot of these kids, they go into an automotive repair program, they get into a program for 2 years, they do a little bit of an apprenticeship, and they're making 6 figures in 3 to 4 years.
Absolutely, and no student debt.
Sorry?
No student loan debt
exactly.
on top of that. Yeah.
The double win.
Yeah.
So we want to get behind that effort and really make sure we support kids who want to take advantage of those opportunities.
And speaking of, what is your website, Jeff, so that people can go and register to get into this thing?
Yeah, and we're just getting that set up for this year, just so you know. It will be at events.com, but the best link, I think, where you can get the most information about the show and the link as well will be at moretomanson.com. That's actually the Chamber's website.
Sure, and that's all one word. There's no underscores or anything.
Correct.
In there.
Yeah, moretomanson.com.
MANSON? Yeah.
And how far...
And you'll find it... Yeah, you'll find it in under events or on the calendar. You'll be able to click to it, and then it'll just run you out there. You can get registered, and we just have a lot of fun. By the way, we do have cash prizes. We should also mention that. I think we had $500 for first place, $250 for second, and $100 for third. And I got to say, last year, doggone it, I should have my winners from last year. Wasn't Steve Painter. He won the year before, but the gentleman who won donated the funds right back into the scholarship program.
Yeah, was that Ron Foreman?
No.
I know Ron won something, and he gave it back. I don't remember who used the number one.
You mentioned it.
Yeah. I know he won something and gave it back. I don't remember what prize it was.
Bless their hearts. That's great with these guys. They come in and, a lot of these folks just come, they're supporting the programs, the local programs, and helping these kids out. So we really, really appreciate that effort.
Well, I tell you one other thing that happened at last year's show that you probably didn't even know about, but your gathering was responsible for this. The guys from RSC, the Rat Ship Crazy guys, they came over from Spokane and Tri-Cities, and they sat at the winery right next to the Green Dot Sub. I can't remember the name of it now, but you know what it is.
Oh yeah, Rio Vista.
Yeah, they sat there in that open area, and they created their $4,000 build, the RSC build off event. They're taking 2 years to build a car for $4,000, or let's see, build a car for $1,000 and drive it 4,000 miles, and they are seriously doing this. It's all over the net, and they created that sitting right there at your event.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, Kevin Martin and pardon me.
It's $4,000.
I missed what you said, Jeff.
Are they up and rolling yet?
Oh yeah, they've got it's RSC $4,000 build off. It's that's their Facebook page right now. They have over 40 people already booked from all over the country to do this, and they're going to drive all over Montana and Wyoming for this run. And awesome. 2021 is when it's going to happen, so you got a little time to build the car. And all of that was created because those guys came to your event.
That is awesome. So cool. I'm going to share that with the guys in our group. That's just it'll be a great little piece of history for us to add to.
Well, and I know they're coming this year too, because I talked Kevin Martin and Sean Barter are the two guys from that group who put the thing together, and they're coming to the Monsters show this May. So maybe we'll get a chance to get you guys hooked up.
Brady, are you going to have your car ready yet?
That's my goal. Jeff has been hearing this for 5 years now.
I've been following him on Facebook. It's like, well, okay, I ground off a little nub today.
Yes,
that's good for today.
Yes. Well, no, this actually.
My wife thinks that I told her, honey, my project when I start restoring my car is going to be multi-year. That's why I've got to have that garage completely empty. Before I can even
fill
start.
It up with other stuff.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So the goal is to have the truck running and bring it over there this year.
Nice.
It's
been fun watching that thing.
Well, we're getting there. I got a new floor in it now, so now it's actually a roller in it. You could sit in it, so that's a good thing. But that's the goal. Well, see, the problem is, now my wife Georgia, she won a '51 Hudson sedan in a raffle. Oh, I know, God. So now I got to build two of them. Just there's no mercy at all with this.
Get those wrenches out.
Hey, by the way, before we let you go, what is the name of the car museum over there? There's one in Chelan, is there not?
Yes. Yeah, it's Miller's.
That's it.
It's Miller's. Yeah, Miller's. And, I got to tell you, Leo Miller, he has got an incredible collection you're going to want to see. And they're open on the weekend, so they should be open, for our show. But Leo Miller has a fabulous. He's out just before you head down. You go past Les Schwab in Chelan, and you hang a right, and he's just down there in the warehouse complex. And I'll get you the links to that and some of the other things that we talked about, the Wine and Jazz Festival, maybe some of the lodging links too, so people can get connected.
That's awesome. Well, we actually had Leo on the show. And,
you did?
Yeah, and we talked about the museum, and I said, listen, I'm coming over there in May, and I got to come down and take a look. He said, oh, please do. He was just very cordial and gracious about the whole thing. But, yeah, there's a lot of reasons to come to Manson. I mean, it sounds like it's a little town out in the middle, but you know what? It's a destination, especially if you're a car guy, but also if you're just wanting a nice vacation location. I mean, you can't beat it.
No,
I should go to work for the Chamber of Commerce, Jeff. You should get me on the board.
You should. You're hired. Hey, I would. Speaking of the Chamber of Commerce, though, I would like to give a quick shout out to our committee: Brian Patterson, Jerry Ustanik, Mike Coleman, Tom Fix, Dave Sneesby, and Bob Connor. I don't have to tell you fellas what it takes to put one of these shows on, but these guys already started meeting for this show. I mean, I think they got logo work and that sort of stuff done back in November, putting ads together for some of the publication deadlines, and we're rolling. We're all ready. It's getting to be showtime for us.
Yeah, well, these things are always 6 to 9 months in the can before you get up there. So I fully appreciate what you're doing, and you're doing a great job. I mean, you've got some time under the belt now, and the event gets better every single year, no doubt.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate the support that we get from Horsepower, Chrome, and Rust. You guys are terrific, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody out here May 15th and 16th for sure.
15th and 16th, and man, of course, as we say, book early, book now, and go in on Friday. Come see if you can get Friday off.
Yeah.
Roll over on Friday, take it easy, get some nice dinner, and then get up early in the morning on Saturday, go to the show, and have a good time.
Hey, you mentioned Friday. Just quickly, you have to. I forgot. We do that Friday night registration event.
Oh, right.
At Wine Girl Wines. Yeah, we're doing it again this year. So it's
Super.
a party at Wine Girl Wines Friday night. He's got an incredible selection of cigars, beers, amazing wines made by Angela there at Wine Girl Wines. He's got a little fire pit out there. He typically has live music, so it's going to be a ball.
No doubt.
So come on Friday night, and
all right, man.
It'll be a great time.
Cool, thanks. Hey, this is the greatest automotive info show in the known world. Thanks to Jeff Conwell from Monsters and Manson. We got a cool hot rod story you can tell your friends coming up next on Horsepower, Chrome, and Rust.
It's time for Cars Confidential, and we're back with a story from Lance Lambert this week. What's up, Brady?
Well, this week, as for the last couple of weeks, we've been reading stories from Lance Lambert's book, Fenders, Fins, and Friends, Confessions of a Car Guy. And Lance, of course, has a couple of books. Grins, Gears, and Gasoline is the other one, and there's some other stuff as well. And I get a kick out of Lance. Of course, he's a friend of the show and been around for a long time, and he and I are both members of the Steeds Car Club. But and of course, he does the Vintage Vehicle Show, which is always a lot of fun. But it's funny, it's a small community of car people basically in the Northwest, and yet the reach goes farther than you think. There's a magazine called Garage Style
Oh,
magazine.
yeah, he's featured in there.
He's one of the columnists, and he's been doing it for a long time. And Don Weberg, who is a friend of mine and is also the publisher of that magazine, he wrote the dedication, the foreword to Lance's book. And I'm not going to read it. It's very funny and very kind, but it's not. It's funny. You scratch the surface of the car business around the Northwest, and you run up with all these people who are just, hugely involved all over the country. It's pretty amazing. The story for this week is called Fiberglass Fantasy, and it is, you'll see where this one goes. I recently had graduated from high school and was spending the summer earning money for my approaching career as a college student. College was something that everybody told me was very important. It was where the majority of my friends were headed and where all the best parties were. So there was one problem. I didn't want to go to college. Instead, I wanted a Corvette. Now, I had been given the phone number of a guy with a 1956 Corvette for sale. We made arrangements to meet at a nearby bowling alley near my house, and the summer afternoon was beautiful, and I was pretty excited. Down the street came the Vette. It was red and white. The top was off, and I was in love. I waved, and he pulled up to the curb. I introduced myself, and then I walked around the fiberglass beauty. Close inspection revealed only two minor flaws, a little bit of a faded upholstery, and a cracked steering wheel insert. Now, the car was gorgeous, and by the way, those steering wheel inserts were notorious for cracking. No big deal. I climbed behind the wheel, and I headed off down 6th Avenue, the most heavily traveled arterial in my end of town. This was the cruising street, and I was sure of bragging rights for at least a week or so if I was spotted by any of my buddies. But not a buddy, or even anyone I knew, was to be seen. Yeah, well, I was still in heaven on wheels. The car drove as well as it looked. It handled great, had plenty of power, and felt like an expression of everything good about automobiles and driving. That's interesting because Corvettes were cool, but they're generally not known much for their handling. They kind of rode like a truck. However, if you really liked Corvettes, I could see where this would take over.
Well, and think about the year and the other cars he was driving at the time.
Yes.
So it probably did drive a little better than what he already owned.
Entirely possible. Oh, yeah. Well, and plus, let's face it, it was a Corvette.
And it looked cool,
So,
yes.
There were, however, a few problems on my test drive. The asking price was $1,500, a good price, even in $1965, but I only had $200. There's a little disparity there. My sister Judy would surely lend her darling little brother the necessary funds. She was a school teacher, which meant in my mind that she made a lot of money. She must have a lot of excess funds available for such things as helping her youngest sibling begin residency behind the wheel of a Corvette. Wouldn't you think? You would. Second problem was, what about college? My savings of $200 was to be added to the tuition fund, but hey, owning a Corvette was much more important than continuing my education. I mean, third problem, there was a war in Southeast Asia that year, and it was beginning to get very serious. It was serious enough that you had a problem if you were an 18-year-old single guy sitting in a Corvette instead of in a college classroom. This is true.
Yes.
I was right behind him, and I remember this.
Yes.
So I had to make a decision. Do I buy the Corvette and enjoy being a Sixth Avenue god until I receive a brief attention-getting note from Uncle Sam? Or do I go to college, let someone else get the note, and experience the exaggerated joys of college life? I reluctantly made the wisest choice, thanked the Corvette guy for his time, and sadly meandered down the street, thinking about the now unattainable joys of Corvette ownership. My first attempt at college was brief. I dropped out after 6 months, got drafted after all, and then flunked the physical due to 2 previously undetected stomach ulcers. But by then, of course, the Corvette was nowhere to be found, which was okay because I was still too poor to buy it. I also learned that my sister's paycheck did not leave enough to indulge her little brother's fiberglass fantasy. I used my own money and settled for a 1959 Rambler, and then got on with my life. By the way, postscript, a 1959 Rambler is nothing like a 1956 Corvette.
No.
No, Lance, that would be a model of understatement there, sir. He has a picture of his Rambler, though. I think this is probably...
There was one of those in my township.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I think this is one of the reasons why he's kind of a Studebaker guy now, because
Yes.
he's got an Avanti, Lance does, and he's been a fan of Studebakers. And let's face it, kind of unusual cars anyway for most of his life. He has a Hillman. He has a Hillman Minx. Who has a Hillman Minx? I love Lance's just his taste in cars fully.
But he's owned a number of fastback Mustangs, more modern
He has,
versions.
and
Yeah.
he
and
buys,
he's got some
he buys and
Spitfires
sells
now.
them.
He's got a couple. Is it Spitfires he's got? Yeah.
Spitfires or Sprites?
The Chrysler.
Oh, Crossfire.
Crossfire.
Yeah,
Thank
he's
you.
got-
Crossfire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes me sick. I bought a Crossfire. It's only $5,000. It's white with red interior. We'll get a red one with white interior, and then you'll have a matching pair. You know,
Yes.
It's like salt shakers. But yeah, Lance is one of those guys who, when he finds something that he likes, he makes a shrine of it.
Like his radios.
Well, yeah, I mean, his garage, of course, has been featured in Garage Style magazine forever.
Yes.
And he calls it the Garage Mahal, which the interesting thing about it, it looks very, very impressive. And it is. I mean, he's got a lot of nice neon and cool, car stuff in it. But it's only a 2-car garage in a residential house. It's not as big as the pictures make it
He
look.
must have an extra area. I need to get down and visit him because he's got an extra area for his radio.
No. It's a shell. It's a couple of shelves in the garage.
Oh.
See, there's barely enough room for the Hillman in that garage.
See, that's right.
He doesn't put a lot in there.
He is perfect writer for Garage Lifestyle magazine because
Yeah.
unlike me, who uses my garage to build things and work on things,
Yeah.
his is just to park and have pretty
Lance's
things.
garage is a shrine
Yes.
that he occasionally parks his car in,
Yes.
as opposed to,
Actually working in it.
normal people, who have garbage
Well, it's
cans
because
and
I
other
can't
stuff.
afford Norm's Workshop, because that's what I would like to have. Norm's Workshop from the New Yankee Workshop /
Oh, yeah.
the other side, the same size would be for the auto side. Instead, I got a 2-car garage. One side's partially
Yeah.
my wood cabinet thing, blah, 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 where I do my woodworking. And the other side is, where I do my woodworking, and that's going to be cleared off where I put my car and start
See,
working.
that's the thing with car people.
Yeah.
Last year I
gotta
briefly
make room.
toyed with the idea of buying a house that had a wonderful 4-car shop with 2 lifts and
But where would you have
compressor
had
and
to live to do that?
It wasn't. That's the problem. It wasn't too awful far from where I live now, but the house itself needed a lot of work.
Yeah.
The shop, so you're buying a shop with a house attached as opposed to what you really should be doing. And my wife and I went out there and took a look at it for a while, and I thought, no. It's just more, it wouldn't.
And at this time in life, do you really want to work on your house? No.
Well, no, I don't.
You're doing a nice deck in the back, and that's
of
your condo and stuff, and you'll get it there. But you've got enough room on the side of your building that you've got 2 cars parked there, and you have taken it out to a shop out in east of Monroe. And
oh yeah, it was very nice. My friend and fellow car club guy Michael loaned me his shop for most of the summer, which is why my truck rolls now. And I'm very grateful for him to have done that. And in fact, some of the guys from the club came out and we all bent wrenches for a while.
If you look at a lot of the guys that I see at the...
You're supposed to do.
Exactly. I see a lot of the guys at the shows, and you see the pictures, single or 2-car garage.
Oh,
they rebuilt their cars.
Well, I think that's the majority.
That is.
Some people, there are those guys that have the shops. Most of us just slog along in
that's right.
In the garage. Oh, boy.
Well,
hey, the weekly trivia question is up next. Take a peek at next week's show. Yes, we will do that, too. Put it in park. Stick around. We will be back.
Help us if you can. You're an El Camino man. Only you can understand.
And as we so often do when we come into the final segment of the show, is Around the Wheel. Because we play Help Us If You Can, he's an El Camino man, I usually ask Steve, so how's your project coming? And then he has to hem and haw and say, well, it's not started yet, but I'm going to. And then I usually do what I always do, and that is I volunteer to help. When you finally get that thing ready, I'm good for coming over.
I know
and
you are.
I will do whatever you need to have done, including laugh at you for not having started it sooner. But
my wife is cranking on me, and then I'm like, honey, whose boxes are out in the garage now?
Ooh, careful! You don't want to start that one.
So I can't go too far too fast.
No.
Plus, I have a few more things to do, like tile in the inside of the house and
little stuff like
kitchen
that.
And stuff. So
Well, so the trivia question from last week was a pretty good one. It was actually a little bit obscure, but I'm glad I did it because we actually got a winner. The question was, hang on here, let me find it. It was, in New York City, there originally the first cars, of course, didn't have steering wheels. This is how we set it up. They had levers, tillers, and the New York City Police Department used a particular device to catch speeding motorists in 1898, by the way.
That's
the
just
first
amazing
speeding ticket was issued in 1902, and it was, in fact, issued in New Jersey. But in New York, they had to find some way to catch those ne'er-do-well speed merchants. And they used another device, another vehicle that was already in use at the time. They caught speeders on a bicycle.
Oh, wow.
The bicycle went faster than the cars of the time, which I find hilarious.
Yes.
But interestingly enough, Colley Bell, Colley, Colley Bell in Decatur, Illinois, sent me a Facebook post and said, you know what, I'm thinking that it's the guys on the bikes because that's what they did back then.
That's what policemen were on bikes.
He sent me a picture of a New York City policeman riding one of those big front wheel velocipede bikes.
Oh, man.
That's kind of cool. I don't know where he got it, but probably off the net someplace. But so Colley Bell gets his name typed up and officially pictured with the bucket of barn find dust here at Horsepower, Chrome, and Rust. You, too, could get yourself a bucket of barn find dust by way of a cleverly done picture if you know the answer to this week's trivia question. And this is actually a very, very socially responsible question. What is the most recycled consumer product today?
Oh.
The most recycled consumer product today. If you know the answer to that one, you're sneakier than I think. But you can get to us on Facebook. You can go to the Facebook page, of course, and just give us an answer there. Or you can send us an email at contact us at horsepowerchromeandrust.com. Or you can send us a Facebook Messenger. Or you can go to iHeartRadio and scream it into your dashboard.
Go to iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
.com, and you can put up Horsepower, Chrome, and Rust, just Horsepower, Chrome, and Rust, and it'll pop up our show.
Yep.
Listen to it on your computer, or you can download it onto your cell phone and listen to us. It'll automatically feed in. It goes in about 2 or 3 days after we post. And
I found out too. By the way, we bought a new car.
Yep.
And it has streaming in the car on the
yes.
media system, and so I can actually listen to iHeart podcasts in the car.
That is
if you have a cool car that will do that, then you can do that too.
My car is got an aftermarket stereo that allows the same thing, and you just have to have your media, Wi-Fi or whatever going, right. and off you go. Hey, I wanted to cover this real quick.
Oh, okay.
For those who are into the motorcycle world, Harley-Davidson on Tuesday reported a larger than expected decline in its sales revenue, hurt by a continuing slide in retail sales in the United States. The company said revenues at the motorcycle parts and accessories general merchandise segment fell 8.5% from last year. This is like
a big one.
About 5 years of slide.
Yikes.
So,
hey, thanks for liking and following our website and our Facebook page, and thanks for listening to Horsepower, Chrome, and Rust. We do appreciate it. We are on Spotify, iTunes, and iHeartRadio. Thanks to our guest, Jeff Conwell, this week. For Shane Osborne and Steve Johann, I'm Brady Wright, saying keep your eyes on the road, your hands on the wheel, your foot to the floor. Next week, we trip the lights on another Horsepower, Chrome, and Rust.